What if I told you that the story of Yellowstone doesn't end in Montana? That beyond the rolling hills, broken fences, and bloody rivalries of the Dutton Ranch, another legacy is about to rise from the dust, one even harsher, more unforgiving, and more dangerous. That's the promise of Taylor Sheridan's new Yellowstone sequel, Rio Palo, set to release in 2026. It's not just another spin-off. It's the next chapter in a universe built on land, loyalty, and loss. The trailer has given us our first glimpse, and it already feels like the stakes are higher than ever before. The very name Rio Palo hints at something raw and untamed. Unlike Montana's wide-open landscapes we've grown to know in Yellowstone, Rio Palo feels like a frontier that is both beautiful and merciless. From the trailer's opening shots, you can almost feel the dry wind across the desert plains, the weight of the sun over endless fields, and the looming threat of men who are willing to burn everything for power. Where Yellowstone's drama was tied to the Duttons defending what they believed was rightfully theirs, Rio Palo looks like a story about creating a new empire in a place where survival is not guaranteed. It's not about keeping land safe. It's about fighting tooth and nail to claim it in the first place. Taylor Sheridan has always been known for his love of the American frontier, and Rio Palo feels like his boldest move yet. If 1883 showed, U.S. The painful journey of settlers in 1923 revealed the struggle of building during a violent age. Rio Palo looks like it will dive headfirst into the cost of expansion in a lawless world. The trailer doesn't give everything away, but the tone is clear. This is about legacy meeting bloodshed. From shadowy figures standing against a burning horizon to ranch hands gripping rifles like they're extensions of their bodies, Rio Palo promises more grit than glamour. And let's be honest, Sheridan knows exactly what fans want. He understands that audiences are drawn not just to the beauty of the landscapes, but to the danger that lies beneath. In Yellowstone, the fight was about protecting the Dutton Ranch from outsiders, developers, politicians, and enemies both, seen and unseen. In Rio Palo, that fight looks multiplied, with rival families, greedy corporations, and the unforgiving land itself all serving as enemies. The trailer whispers a simple truth. In Rio Palo, no one wins without spilling blood. This is why the first look feels so powerful. It doesn't just tease a continuation of Yellowstone's story. It introduces us to a world where survival means choosing between loyalty and survival, where every handshake could hide a knife, and where the land takes as much as it gives. Sheridan is building another epic, and fans of Yellowstone should be ready. Because Rio Palo isn't just about new characters and a new setting, it's about asking how far people will go when the frontier demands more than they are willing to give. Asterisk. The trailer for Rio Palo wastes no time setting the mood. From the very first frame, it pulls you into a world that feels both familiar and completely new. We open with sweeping shots of wide, unforgiving landscapes, dust storms rolling across empty plains, rivers cutting through cracked earth, and cattle moving like shadows under a burning red sky. This is not Montana anymore. The air feels heavier, the land looks more hostile, and the silence is broken only by the sound of hooves and gunfire echoing in the distance. Taylor Sheridan has always been a master at using landscapes as silent characters in his stories, and here, Rio Palo's setting immediately tells us that survival will be the central struggle. The land itself is a challenge, and those who can't adapt will be swallowed whole. As the trailer unfolds, the camera lingers on images that speak volumes without a single line of dialogue. A man stands alone on a ridge, his hat pulled low, as if the weight of his choices is pressing him down. Another figure rides through the desert at night, torch in hand, hinting at violence about to erupt. A family gathers around a long wooden table, but their glances are sharp, guarded, filled with unspoken tension. These glimpses tell us what to expect: conflict, betrayal, and the impossible task of balancing loyalty with ambition. In Yellowstone, the Duttons fought to keep what they already owned. In Rio Palo, it looks like the characters are still building their empire, and every victory could be undone with a single bullet. The sound design in the trailer is just as gripping as the visuals. Instead of a hopeful score or sweeping orchestral strings, we hear slow, haunting notes carried by the guitar echoes of old Western ballads, but darker, sharper, almost threatening. When the silence breaks, it's with gunshots, the shattering of glass, or the rumble of thunder over barren hills. Every sound feels deliberate, designed to remind us that Rio Palo is not just a place where cattle are raised and families gather. It is a battlefield where peace never lasts. Sheridan is telling us that while Yellowstone was brutal, Rio Palo might be even more unrelenting. Then come the flashes of character moments that leave fans desperate for answers. A hardened cowboy stares into the camera, his face scarred, his eyes unyielding, as if he's already buried more men than he can count. A woman stands on the porch of a sprawling ranch house, shotgun in hand, her silhouette framed by lightning proof. That in this world, strength is not just for the men. There's a brief glimpse of a courtroom, suggesting that the fight won't just take place on the land, but in the law as well, where corruption and power play hand in hand. And then the shot that lingers, two rival families facing each other. Across a dusty road, guns drawn, while the setting sun bathes everything in blood-red light. It's a promise of violence, a clear warning that the conflicts in Rio Palo will be settled in the oldest way possible. But the most striking thing about the trailer isn't just the violence or the grand imagery, it's the promise of legacy. There's a brief voiceover, a single line spoken by what sounds like the central patriarch of the story. This land will take everything from you. Unless you take from it first. That single line sets the tone. It tells us that Rio Palo isn't just a continuation of Yellowstone, it's an escalation. The stakes aren't only about land or money, they're about identity, survival, and the willingness to embrace the brutality of the frontier. The trailer's first look makes it clear that this isn't about who owns the land, but who deserves to keep it when the dust settles. By the time the trailer ends, you're left with more questions than answers, and that's exactly how Sheridan wants it. Who are these new characters? What is their connection to the Dutton legacy, if any? How will Rio Palo expand the Yellowstone universe without losing what made the original so iconic? The trailer doesn't hand over the answers. Instead, it dares the audience to step into the unknown, to embrace a world where alliances are temporary. Enemies are everywhere, and the cost of holding power is written in blood. Sheridan knows his audience well, and with Rio Palo, he's giving them the perfect mix of mystery, danger, and family drama to keep them hooked until 2026. Asterisk, if the trailer gave us a taste of the setting and tone, it's the characters who will carry Rio Palo into the hearts of Yellowstone fans. Taylor Sheridan has always built his worlds around complex, layered figures, men and women who blur the lines between hero and villain. And in this first look at Rio Palo, the character teasers are every bit as intriguing as the landscape itself. We don't have all the names yet, and many roles remain hidden, but the glimpses we do see suggest a cast of personalities destined to collide, in ways that will leave viewers torn between loyalty and betrayal. The first figure who commands attention is an older ranch patriarch seen in several brief shots throughout the trailer. His presence is undeniable: broad shoulders, weathered face, and a stare that carries decades of violence and sacrifice. He feels like the beating heart of Rio Palo, a man who built something from nothing and will burn anyone who tries to take it away. His voice delivers that chilling line from the trailer, "This land will take everything from you, unless you take from it first." It's not just dialogue, it's a philosophy, the law of the frontier as Sheridan envisions it. This character seems destined to embody the raw power and tragic flaws of leaders who carry the weight of both family and land. Beside him, the trailer hints at a younger generation ready to rise or rebel. A son, perhaps, who looks torn between honoring his father's vision and forging his own path. In one moment, we see him breaking wild horses with an intensity that mirrors John Dutton's legacy. In another, he's standing in a crowded bar, fists clenched as whispers of betrayal surround him. Sheridan has always explored the theme of inheritance, how the younger generation carries the burdens and mistakes of those before them. And Rio Palo looks ready to expand on this idea in a harsher, more dangerous world. But Rio Palo isn't only about men. A powerful female presence emerges in the trailer too, and she already feels like the soul of the story. We see her gripping a shotgun on the porch, eyes fixed on the horizon as if she knows exactly when trouble will arrive. Later, she's in what looks like a courtroom, her hand on a Bible, swearing to tell the truth in a town where lies seem to rule. She could be a matriarch protecting her family or a political figure caught in a world of corruption. Either way, her inclusion signals that Sheridan is continuing his tradition of writing strong, resilient women who stand toe-to-toe with the men in moments of crisis. If Yellowstone had Beth Dutton as its fiery core, Rio Palo looks set to give us a new female lead, who will dominate the screen in her own way. Then there are the shadows, the rivals, the outlaws, the enemies waiting in the wings. The trailer gives us a glimpse of a scarred man, his face half hidden, in firelight, loading a revolver with quiet precision. His silence is scarier than any words he could speak, and it's clear he will be one of Rio Palo's central antagonists. There's also a fleeting image of men in suits, standing on the steps of a government building, suggesting that the fight won't just be against the land or rival ranchers, but against forces of politics and industry as well. Where Yellowstone fought developers and outsiders trying to steal Montana land, Rio Palo looks ready to pit its characters against corporations hungry for oil. Power and domination of a frontier are still in the making. Casting speculation is already buzzing among fans, and Sheridan's track record tells us to expect both familiar faces and exciting newcomers. Could we see characters from 6,666 crossing paths in Rio Palo? The setting and tone suggest that possibility. And with Sheridan's growing pool of trusted actors like those from 1883, 1923, Tulsa King, and Mayor of Kingstown, it wouldn't be surprising if Rio Palo combines star power with fresh talent to create a cast that feels authentic to the story. The Yellowstone universe has always thrived on believable performances, where even secondary characters carry enough depth to leave an impression. Rio Palo will be no different. At the heart of it all, the characters teased in the first look remind us of one thing: there are no pure heroes here. Every face carries secrets. Every stare hides regret, rage, or ambition. And every family tie looks like a fuse waiting to ignite. Just as Yellowstone blurred the lines between right and wrong, Rio Palo seems set to push its characters into even darker corners, forcing them to make choices that will test loyalty, family bonds, and their own humanity. These aren't cowboys in white hats or outlaws in black hats. They are people caught in the gray, where survival comes at a cost. By focusing on flawed, layered characters, Sheridan ensures that Rio Palo won't just be another Western, it will be a human drama set against the most brutal of frontiers. The faces we saw in the trailer may only be glimpses, but each one promises a storm of stories, betrayals, and revelations to come. And when the full cast list is revealed, fans will already be prepared for a lineup of characters who will shape this new saga with every gunshot, every whispered threat, and every desperate choice they make at its core. Rio Palo looks like more than just another Western drama. It feels like Taylor Sheridan's boldest exploration of the themes that have defined his storytelling from the beginning. If Yellowstone was about protecting what's already been built, and 1883 and 1923 showed us the sacrifice of creating it, Rio Palo seems to be about the blood-soaked cost of expansion, the moral decay that comes when ambition collides with survival, and the endless cycle of power that binds families to their land until it destroys them. From the trailer alone, we can sense the central themes rising like heat off the desert floor, and each one promises to test both the characters and the audience in ways Yellowstone never dared. One of the strongest themes hinted at is land as identity. In Yellowstone, the Dutton Ranch was more than just a place. It was the soul of the family, the symbol of everything they were fighting to preserve. In Rio Palo, however, the land doesn't feel like a sacred inheritance. It feels like a weapon, a battleground where the fight isn't about keeping what's yours, but about carving out what you believe should belong to you. The trailer shows endless stretches of harsh country dry rivers, cracked soil, and pastures where survival itself feels like a gamble. This isn't a landscape that gives freely. It demands payment in blood, sweat, and sacrifice. The characters In Rio Palo will not just defend land, they'll bleed for the chance to claim it. Another theme that pulses through the first look is the corruption of power. Sheridan has always written stories where authority, whether political, legal, or financial, exists not to serve justice but to protect the interests of the few. In Rio Palo, we catch glimpses of courtrooms, town meetings, and men in suits standing outside government buildings, all of which suggest that law and order are just another battlefield. In one fleeting image, we see a handshake between a wealthy businessman and a local official while workers toil in the background. That moment captures the entire struggle. Those who have power bend the rules, while those who don't must fight tooth and nail to survive. In Rio Palo, justice doesn't belong to the righteous. It belongs to whoever has the most influence, the most money, or the most guns. The trailer also hints at family loyalty and betrayal, a recurring Sheridan theme that looks even sharper. Here, families in Sheridan's world are never simple. They are both shield and sword, places of love but also of unbearable conflict. In one scene, a family gathers at a long wooden table, their faces tight with mistrust. In another, two brothers are shown in the middle of a heated standoff, guns drawn, with only silence between them. These moments suggest that Rio Palo will ask the same question. Yellowstone often posed, how much blood are you willing to spill for the people you call family? And perhaps even more hauntingly, how much of your own family's blood are you willing to spill for survival? Another theme that stands out is the cost of ambition. While Yellowstone often focused on preservation, keeping the ranch safe from outsiders, Rio Palo seems more concerned with creation and conquest. The line from the trailer, "This land will take everything from you, unless you take from it first," is not about protecting legacy. It's about building it, even if it means destroying everything else in the process. That ambition is dangerous because it has no endpoint. If Yellowstone showed us characters fighting to hold on, Rio Palo looks like it will show us characters who will never be satisfied, always reaching for more, no matter how much it costs them in blood, love, or humanity. Perhaps the most chilling theme of all is the brutal reality of survival. Sheridan's worlds are never forgiving, but Rio Palo looks like his harshest yet. The trailer's imagery: dust storms swallowing riders, cattle being driven through lightning storms, men collapsing in the dirt with rifles clutched to their chests, makes it clear that survival here isn't guaranteed. In Montana, the Duttons fought outsiders while leaning on the strength of their land. In Rio Palo, the land itself feels like an enemy. It demands resilience, cunning, and ruthlessness. Characters who hesitate will die. Families that can't adapt will vanish. And every sunrise will bring with it a new test of who deserves to remain standing. Finally, Sheridan seems ready to lean deeper into moral grayness than ever before. The trailer doesn't present us with clear heroes or villains. Instead, it shows figures who are all willing to fight, lie, and kill for what they believe is theirs. One man might defend his family with brutal force and look like a villain to outsiders. Another might betray his blood to secure survival, making him both a coward and a strategist. This moral complexity is what made Yellowstone captivating, and Rio Palo appears ready to push it further. The question won't be who is right, but who can live with the weight of what they've done. Together, these themes promise a story that is bigger, darker, and more unforgiving than anything Sheridan has delivered before. Rio Palo isn't just about ranch life or land disputes, it's about the soul of the frontier, about people forced to make impossible choices in a place where survival is never clean. The first look makes it clear. Rio Palo will not be a story of heroes riding into the sunset. It will be a story of survivors clawing their way through dust, betrayal, and blood, to seize what they can before the land takes it all away.